Well, Lord, honey, children, how are y'all tonight? Welcome to the Country Bling Cooking Show, the Christmas edition. All right, guys, thank you all so much for tuning in tonight to the. And y'all see I'm carrying Miss Lisa around. She's on the phone. I'm gonna set her right here so we can hear her. If you have questions, you can ask, and then she'll ask me the questions, and then we'll get to those questions. So. Welcome to the Country Bling Cooking Show. This is, whoa, that's Baby Mav. They're going to see the Christmas lights, and she's on the phone and watching y'all's questions. So, thank you all for tuning in. Like I said, this is the Christmas edition. Well, it's been Christmas edition the last 2 or 3 times, but tonight is special because tomorrow is Christmas Eve and then Christmas Day. So I wore my glittery Christmas jacket for y'all tonight. And I've got a little Christmas music on in the background, which I know a lot of y'all can't hear because I talk so loud. But I do have the donation button up for No Child Hungry. Remember, if you can donate to that, thank you so much, and please do. I love to help out kids, and this time of year it means even more to help them out. I will like to say that our Facebook and Instagram winners from the big Country Bling Christmas giveaway on Facebook, it was Shelly Williams, and on Instagram it was Mary, and I'm going to try to get Mary's last name right. She'll probably laugh because I probably ain't going to get it right, but it's Mary Adobodili. Abodeely. That's as best as I can do. I'm Southern, honey. I'm sorry if I butchered your name. So, thank you all for everybody that played along on the Christmas giveaway, and their gifts are on their way to them. I know it probably won't make it for Christmas, but they'll get to you all soon. So, tonight we're going to be talking about all things pie. We've talked cookies. We've talked candy. And pies is one of my favorite things at Christmas time, at holidays, and I love any type of pies. I had mentioned in one of the videos previously about a bacon butter pie or a bacon bourbon pie, and I thought I would show you all that tonight because it's one of my favorite pies. It takes the 3 to 4 best things actually, the 4 best things in the world and puts them in one pie, and I'm telling you what, this pie will make you say butter my biscuit and call me Santa Claus because it's that good. It incorporates bacon, bourbon, butter, and pecans. Honey, with those 4 things you can do anything. So I wanted to show you all my version of a bacon bourbon pecan pie tonight. So, alright, so let's get into this. I have here my bacon. Now, you will get to find this recipe on the website at southerncountrybling.com later on tonight. And don't forget to sign up and subscribe to the new YouTube channel, which is Country Bling Cooking. And you can see this video on there as well, and you can follow along and push pause. And that way you can, I can get right in the kitchen and cook with you. So you can just pull it up on your phone and we can cook together. So make sure you do that. All right. I have 6 strips of bacon, and that is just full strips, and I've cut them in half, sideways. So I took the 6 strips and cut them in half this way. And then I'm going to take 6 strips and cut them in half this way, long way. So I always like to dice my bacon before I cook it, because if you cook your bacon and then dice it, it's going to end up being in pieces that, like big pieces and small pieces, and this way you get a more even bite of bacon. So we're just going to cube it. And I'll tell you a trick on cutting bacon is make sure that your bacon, like put it in the freezer about 20 minutes before you're going to cut it, and it'll be semi-frozen. It'll cut a lot easier for you. So we're just going to dice this bacon up. And I have a neat trick. You know, most of the time pecan pies, the pecans that's in it are not toasted. And I like for my pecans to be toasted because they release all their natural oils and they make the pecan flavor even more bright and vibrant. And I'm going to show you a little trick with the pecans in this pie that I think you all are just going to love because it's super easy. It's not put them on a tray, put them in the oven, and toast them that way. It's all pretty much just in the same pan. All right, so let's turn on our burner. And don't forget, if you have questions, please ask. All right, so let's turn on our burner and we're going to get our bacon up in our skillet and get to frying it up. I have moved locations tonight just for you all. In case you notice, I'm not in the kitchen as usual. I'm right here in front of my Santa Claus section of the house. And most of y'all have seen the YouTube videos or the Instagram or Facebook videos of all the decorations that we do in the house and outside. So tonight I thought I would do it in front of the Santa section because Santa Claus loves bacon bourbon pecan pie too. Alright, so we're just going to fry this bacon until it's crispy. And because it's a smaller piece, it doesn't take as long. Now I'm on about medium heat. You don't want to cook it too fast. A lot of times I do my bacon in the oven. So, alright, so while that is frying up, we're going to move on and start onto our pie, the filling for this. So, here I have white sugar. I have brown sugar. I like to mix the sugars in my pies, especially my pecan pie, just simply because it gives you more of a bold flavor. That brown sugar is just white sugar and molasses. It's mixed together, and it gives you another depth flavor there, as we call it, and makes it even more like the holidays. Because you know the holidays is all about rich, gooey, ooey desserts. And this one is a rich, gooey, ooey dessert. So, and then I have my light corn syrup. And if you want to use dark corn syrup, you can. I just have the light corn syrup on hand, so that's what I'm going to use. Or you could use half corn syrup and half molasses. Alright, so we have our light corn syrup. And then I'm going to add in 3 eggs. Now these are farm fresh eggs right here from our chicken. Got to stop and stir bacon here. We have about 28 chickens. And we get these beautiful, and they range in all different colors. See, from the dark to the light browns to a medium brown. But you'll always notice when we crack these eggs, and always crack your eggs into another bowl, because if you get shell up in there, you don't want that in your pie, because people's going to be crunching on them pecans. You don't want to hit a piece of shell, honey children, because that just wouldn't be no good. And you'll notice that farm eggs, or as we call them, country eggs, or as I've said in the past, my grandmother called them hen fruit, are a lot darker yellow orange. And that's from where the chickens are out free range, like eating the grass, and they're eating more than just the grains that we feed them. But you can see how dark golden yellow those yolks are. Alright, so we have our eggs, we have our sugar and corn syrup. We just want to mix that up. And you want to beat up those egg yolks to get them broke up together. Now, you don't want to use a whisk on this. If you use a whisk to mix this pie up, it puts too much air into the filling, and then the filling gets too aerated. So it ends up, instead of being gooey, it ends up being more like a brownie texture, and you don't want to do that. You want to mix this up with a spoon. So no mixers here and no whisk. It's just you, a bowl, and a spoon, honey children. Got to stir our bacon here because she's frying pretty good. Now you want to fry this bacon until it's crispy. If you fry it to where, as we call it, wimpy, it's going to stay like that in the pie, and then you're not going to have that salty crunch that you get from the bacon, and you get the little bits and pieces from the bacon that you bite down in. So once you get back to the filling, I'm watching the bacon, I'm stirring the filling, honey. This is what the holidays are all about, honey, is you've got 10 or 12 things going on at one time. So I've got that all mixed up. I'm going to add some butter. Well, not some butter. It's a lot of butter. And then we're going to add vanilla. Vanilla is what really sets any pie off. And, of course, the bourbon. Now, you can also add, you could serve this with like a bourbon whipped cream, or a bourbon ice cream would be real good with this. You can eat this pie at room temperature, or you can eat this pie cold, or you can warm it up a little bit. I find that there ain't no bad time to eat a pecan pie. Do y'all like pecan pies, honey? So this is a cross between a pecan pie and a bourbon a race day pie, as we call it here in the Kentucky. I hear that we're going to have a little bit of snow this year up in this area for Christmas, and I am tickled to death because we haven't had a white Christmas in so long. I thought we was living in Florida there for a long time, and I just love a white Christmas. Then after that, it can go back to being 80 degrees. I'm over it. So, all right, so the bacon is almost ready. We're going to let that just finish up. It don't like much. We're just going to stir all that in there. I wish you all could smell this, guys. This is divine, honey. You're getting that bourbon out of here and that brown sugar and then that butter in here. You're getting the smells of that. And when you bake this, honey, whoever's in your house, they're going to be sitting in the kitchen wishing that they were, that pie was already done because they're going to be wanting some. All right, so my bacon is crispy. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pecans. This is the trick to toasting your pecans for this pie. You're just going to dump your pecans right into the bacon, honey children. And you're just going to stir that together with that bacon. Now, what we're doing here is the nuts is soaking up all that luscious bacon grease. And they're toasting at the same time. And they're getting all of their oils that's inside of those pecans. They're releasing it. So you'll start smelling like a nutty smell out of this, and you'll get that when you're eating it. You'll get a stronger pecan flavor. But to have those pecans that's laced with that bacon fat, oh my Lord, honey, child, let me tell you. And you all know me as well enough by now that I love me some bacon and butter. So what better thing to put in a pie than some bourbon and some bacon? Alright, so that's pretty good. And see, it just takes just a few minutes to do your pecans in there. So we're going to take these off the burner. And we're just going to stir them just a few minutes just to release some of the heat. Because if I dump these straight into this filling, you're going to end up with scrambled egg filling. And ain't nobody wants no scrambled egg pecan pie. Now, have I ever told you all the difference between a pecan and a pecan? Well, if I have, I'm sorry, I'm going to tell you all again. A pecan is a nut, like this. A pecan is a thing you put under your bed so you can pee in it in the middle of the night so you don't have to get up and go to the bathroom. Because years ago, you didn't have a bathroom in the house, so you put it under your bed, and that way you didn't have to go out in the cold, honey, just to use the bathroom. So it is a pecan. And I know there's some of you all out there, and it's fine. I understand you. Some people call it a pecan. It depends on what region you're from. It's always going to be a pecan in my book, honey children, let me tell you. All right, so that has cooled down. Now we are going to add our pecans. You all ain't got no questions tonight. I can't believe that.
That's what I was going to say. Remind them, they're all pretty dead out there.
Miss Lisa said everybody was just happy and content, honey. Y'all must be eating and watching. She said there ain't been no questions. I can't believe y'all ain't had a question yet. I just love those questions. So if you got a question, honey, just type it right in right there on the Facebook, on the Instagram, and Miss Lisa will ask us. So, all right, let's put our pecans and our bacon up in our filling here. And then we're going to stir it up, and we're going to talk about the crust. Now, there's different types of crust out there, and we're going to talk about a few of them, and I'm going to tell you my favorite ones. Now, you just want to stir that all in there real good and mix it up. I'm telling you, I wish you all could smell this. The bourbon, like I said, and you're getting those toasty pecans and that bacon. Oh, we have our first question of the evening. What is the question? So the question is, do I use real vanilla or imitation? I use real vanilla. And it's simple. This is the simple rule about vanilla. I am not going to ding you on using imitation, and I'll tell you why. Imitation is cheaper, but you have to know how to use imitation. And I use vanilla. I use real vanilla simply because imitation vanilla, if you put it into anything that you're baking or that you're cooking, it instantly loses its flavor because it is majorly alcohol. Now, real vanilla has some alcohol in it, but it's a richer, deeper vanilla flavor, and it's usually made with like bourbon or rum or something like that. If you use the real vanilla when you're baking, like in a pie or you're cooking it in something, you get the natural vanilla flavor. If you're using the imitation, you're not going to get it, you're going to lose it. So I don't, if you can only afford imitation, just remember to put it in after it's cooked. Now, if it's in a pie, you want to double the vanilla if it's imitation. That way it doesn't totally bake out, okay? All right, so now let's talk about question.
How many family members will you spend Christmas with this year? Are you having a large gathering?
So how many family members am I going to have this year for Christmas? I'm not having the large gatherings like we usually have. We kind of have to watch what we're doing right now. We kind of have to do our part. So that, and I know it's going to be hard this year because we can't have our big gatherings like we usually do, but you can always FaceTime with each other. This year, it will probably be about 4 of us here in the house together. That's probably about it. So, usually we're ones that we can have, as many as 20 on a holiday or more, but this year, we're just doing it scaled back. But honey, we ain't scaling back on the food, let me tell you. Just cause it may be a few people don't mean you have to do less dishes, because that just gives you more leftovers for the next day. You feel me? You feel me, honey? Amen, hallelujah, honey. Make you all kinds of dishes. But I just feel like that this is the year that we all need to do our part, and we kind of need to scale back, and we can FaceTime with each other. We're going to set up our dinner as always, and we'll get the other family members on FaceTime, and that way we can still have a little bit of time together. So that's what we're doing. So all right. So now let's talk about pie dough. Let's talk about pie dough. Now there's all kinds of pie doughs. I have a recipe. If you want my pie dough recipe, it is on the website on southerncountrybling.com. This is a pie dough here. You could do a pot sablé. You can do a pat sucré. You can even, I have done this pie with a very dense gingerbread crust. So a gingerbread crust is a crushed up gingerbread cookies and pie dough mixture, and you mix that together and then press it in the pan. It makes a good crust. So any crust, I wouldn't do graham cracker because the graham cracker is so loose that it'll bake up into the pie and it's not going to come out like a pie. But you can use any pie dough, and remember, if you don't have time to make your own homemade pie dough, then buy it at the store. I mean, this time of year, we're in such a rush, and we are making 10 or 12 different things to take to neighbors to set on the door and ring the bell and say, Merry Christmas, please enjoy this sweet treat for the holiday season. Just do what you can. Make the filling homemade and buy the pie crust. There's nothing wrong with buying pre-made pie crust. Not a thing. I've done it a million times if you're in a hurry, especially if you're making a lot of pies. So, but if you want to make it, I do have a recipe on the website at southerncountrybling.com. Now, another trick for your pie tin. This one is really cool. It has handles on it, but it's aluminum. That's right. It's just a full pan, and then it has a clear cover that comes with it. It's easy to bake in it and then put the cover on and take it and give it to a neighbor or give it to a family member that may not be able to make it to your house this year, and set it on the door and ring the doorbell and say, thank you, have a Merry Christmas. I brought you one of my pies that I made this year to celebrate the holiday with. So a lot of people want to make them like in glass or ceramic, and that's fine too. But if you're taking them somewhere, you may want to do this because you may not get your pie tin back, honey children. You may give it to somebody that may not get, they may think that's part of their Christmas present. Or you could make it part of their Christmas present. But I just prefer to do these pie pans because even once we're done with dinner, if there's a part of the pie left, I can put the lid on it and say, please take this home and enjoy it for the rest of your holiday. Because, honey, we have all kinds of pies and cookies and candies and cakes and all kinds of sweet treats sitting around. And I always want people to take stuff home with them. So, all right. So, question.
What's your favorite Christmas song?
Oh, question. Favorite Christmas song. I have two. One of my favorite Christmas songs is Oh Beautiful Star of Bethlehem. And that song is really near and dear to my heart because my cousin way down the line on my mom's side, on my mom's dad's side, way down the line, E.L. Phipps, which that's my mom's side, sorry. E.L. Phipps was a cousin way down the line, wrote Oh Beautiful Star of Bethlehem, and I just love that song. And one of my other favorite songs is I love, Lord, there's so many. I like start listening to Christmas music in August, children, so I like all kinds. But I'd have to say my other favorite Christmas song would have to be Rocking Around the Christmas Tree, because, honey, when you eat this pie, you'll be rocking around the Christmas tree, too. All right, so, but there ain't no bad Christmas songs, honey. They all good. They all good. Grandma got run over by a reindeer. That's a real good one. All right, so you just dump this into your pie shell. Now, this is a deep dish pie shell. This is a deep dish pie pan. If you are using a normal pie pan, this will make 2 pies. If you're using a deep dish, it makes 1 pie. So, we'll just set that right there. All right, so that is a little hint too. The recipe says makes 1 pie. That is a deep dish pie shell. Miss Lisa will edit a little bit on that before she posts it. If you're doing deep dish, it will make 1 pie. If you're making a regular pie, it will make 2 pies. So you can see that this one is a deep dish, and you can see it's filled up. Now it will raise somewhat, so you'll end up with just a little bit more filling once it's baked. And honey, the oven is at 350 degrees. Now you want to cover this with a piece of foil, put it in the oven, and bake it for 35 minutes. Remove the foil and bake it for another 25 to 30 minutes. It's going to take about 60 minutes total, but there's a little trick. While we cover it with the foil, because all this exposed crust is going to get super dark if you don't cover it in the first 30 minutes. And then we take it off to let the top finish browning and let the crust brown. Now you'll know the pie is done when you shake it. There'll be a small jiggle right here in the middle after it's baked that long. And you want that, because if there's no jiggle, once your pie sets up, then there's not a really good goo layer in there. And I'll show you on a piece that we have already cut and done. You want that gooey layer, because that's what makes a bacon bourbon, honey, I've got so many bees, I don't know what I'm talking about. A bacon bourbon pecan pie, that's what you want on any pecan pie, is that gooey layer. All right, so this goes in the oven at 350. And I'm going to say that my oven is down here because we're not in the kitchen. So I'm going to put this in the oven, children. I ain't disappeared on you. I'm just down here putting this in the oven. And Lord, honey, look what we have here, honey, children. So this is what it looks. Question.
What bourbon do you prefer for your pie?
So the question is, what bourbon do I prefer for this pie? I prefer whatever kind that you like, but when I make any of my desserts with bourbon, I use, and I know some of y'all going to go crazy on me, I use Kentucky Gentleman. And the reason why I use Kentucky Gentleman, I use some others, like I don't really use what I call a drinking bourbon, which is Basil Hayden, Four Roses, Evan Williams, Wild Turkey. I don't use any of those, Woodford Reserve. I don't use any of those. Sometimes I do. But most of the time in this pie, I use Kentucky Gentleman simply because it's a little bit of a harsher, if you want to call it harsher, bourbon. It has a really strong bourbon flavor, and it doesn't bake out. Where a lot of your drinking bourbons, when you're drinking a bourbon, it's that smooth bourbon flavor. It doesn't bake well in a pie, and you'll lose a lot of that bourbon flavor simply because there's only 3 tablespoons in this pie. So, I have all kinds of bourbons that I bake with, that I cook with. But when I'm baking this pie, I prefer Kentucky Gentleman. When I'm making like bourbon balls, or I'm making bourbon butter cake, I use Jephthah Creed, or I use Wild Turkey 101, or I use Behringer, one of those to make my other stuff. So that's what I've used here. But I want you all to look at this. I want you to get this goo layer right here. So there is a goo layer, as we call it, right underneath this pecans right here. Honey, children, that right there is what we're wanting, is that goo layer. And you'll see that it's still nice and soft. And when you cut into it, and I pull this up right here, you'll probably see that goo layer. See that? Let me get it on the fork before it falls here. You'll see that gooiness. Look at that gooiness. Oh, there it went. That's what we're looking for. Oh my gosh. Honey, that'll make you do the Jingle Bell Rock. That'll make you dance around the Christmas tree. That'll make you do a whole lot of things, I'm telling you. Listen, you may want to leave this one out for Santa Claus this year. Eat half of it and leave the other half for Santa Claus. But you get that nice salty crunch of the bacon. It's not over salty. You just get that salty crunch of the bacon. Those toasty pecans. That bourbon, which after you swallow it, then you get that nice, smooth bourbon flavor.
Repeat the name of the recipe.
The flaky crust here, but that goo layer. So this is my bacon bourbon pecan pie. And you get all that rich butter flavor, the crunchy, salty bacon, the crunch of the toasty pecans, and that pecan flavor is so strong because we toasted those pecans. And then that buttery crust. Listen, children, I'm telling you right now, if you don't try this bacon bourbon pecan pie for Christmas or New Year's or your next gathering, honey, you don't know what life is. I'm telling you, honey. Santa Claus and all 16 million of his elves and Mrs. Claus will be knocking down the door to get him some of his pie. Question?
Did you use chocolate chips with that, or could you use chocolate chips?
So the question is, can you use chocolate chips with this? You can most definitely stir in a half a cup of chocolate chips into the filling, and then you're getting close to what we call our race day pie. Now that, honey, is another good pie. But if you really don't want too chocolatey, then leave the chocolate out. But the bacon plays very well with bacon. You know, honey, they ain't nothing better than bacon-covered chocolate. Or chocolate-covered bacon. I said that backwards. Well, it works either way, honey child, let me tell you. But yes, you could put the chocolate chips in this pie as well. But I'm telling you, if you try it this way, you ain't gonna want no chocolate chips up in your pie because they ain't nothing better than this right here, honey. Honey. This one, like I said, will make you shout Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, ho, ho, ho. Here comes Valentine's Day, because you're going to be making this one all the time, honey children. Well, thank you all so much for tuning in tonight to the Country Bling Cooking Show. I want to wish each and every one of you all out there a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Now, we have a New Year segment next week right here on Wednesday night, but we'll talk all about that later. I love each and every one of y'all. Please visit southerncountryBling.com and get this recipe and all the other recipes. Thank you for your donations to No Child Hungry. If you donated tonight, and I see we have some, thank you so, so much. From my heart and my home to your heart and your home, please make this holiday season one that you'll never forget. I love y'all, and I'll see you later. Right back here next week for the New Year's edition. You ain't going to want to miss it. Love y'all. Bye.